This is Renner for On the Renner Tape Blog, coming to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observation, number 64. As I stated in the last video, I did one before my usual day. Now I'm doing another one, based on this traveling situation. So the first thing I watched was Scooby-Doo, and there's Scooby-Doo, the Sword and the Scoob. Basically, they find out that Shaggy has some family all the way in Camelot, in United Kingdom, and they go to this town, and they think that they're sent back in time, but this town is really immersed in, dressing up in cosplay, and it's pretty much the same people doing the voices: Kate McCuty, Matthew Lillard, Greg Griffin, and Frank Welker. Nick Frost and Jason Isaacs lend their voices. They had like Arthur, Morgan Le Fay. It was funny. It was interesting. The fact that Shaggy hails all the way from there with his relative, going by his real name and stuff. And yeah, kids would like it. It's pretty much the same animation as the other movie. And overall, it's a watchable movie. It's never going to top the original series or any of the original movie. But overall, the Sword and the Scoob is definitely a watchable movie. Then I watched the movie Last Moment of Clarity, where it seemed like a bunch of other movies before, where somebody loses a significant other in like a tragic accident or fire, or somebody murders them, and then they think they see them later on somewhere else in the future. And for me, I felt like because I watch a movie every day, that I've seen a plot like this before, where the guy thinks that somebody he knows died, but then they sees him somewhere and they go all over the stuff. And this guy thinks that his wife who died because he got somehow involved with a European mobster, and he's been hiding out in Paris, that he's seen this woman who he thought was his wife or his longtime girlfriend in LA as an actress, being this famous person and things like that. And he's being obsessed about trying to figure out if that's her. Are these people after him? So he just says, screw it, I'm going to go to LA and I'm going to confront her. While there, he meets up with somebody who went to high school, and she works somehow in that, entertainment world, and she tries to help him. But then she realizes, you know what? Maybe it's not her. But then, of course, there wouldn't be a movie if it wasn't her. And, of course, the whole movie is trying to get her to admit that she knows him, and then they got to deal with the mobsters after them and all this other stuff, and trying to get away and stuff. So that was actually it was not bad. It was definitely interesting enough to try to see how they can get away from the mobsters and things like that. So yeah, Last Moment of Clarity. It's not the worst movie, not the best movie, and for a movie that's 80-something minutes with a lot of interesting things happening, is overall worthwhile to watch. Then I watched the movie just Songbird, where it's got KJ Apa from Archie, Riverdale, he's in that dog movie. Then it's got Craig Robinson. We know him from Parks and Rec, his own show, Miss Robinson, Hot Tub Time Machine. Bradley Whitford, who's a longtime actor, and Demi Moore, who's in the movie. And also, Peter Stormare, who always playing some weirdo creepo like in Arrow, LA to Vegas, Prison Break, every role. So basically, imagine instead of the pandemic and people are able to go out now, people have been in pandemic locked up for 4 years. KJ Apa's character is a delivery driver who delivers things to people that need things because they don't leave the house because he's immune. And pretty much everybody stays in unless you really have to go out. And if you have immunity, you try to stay away from people, because technically, even though you're immune, supposedly it's still on your clothes and stuff like that, and you can get people sick. So you gotta stay away from them. You stay in your house, and whoever is sick, they go to this containment place, like this camp. And even if you don't have it, but somebody in your house, somebody in the whole apartment complex has it, they're gonna take everybody away. And in doing that, and people and the reviews were like, man, this really doesn't touch that much on the pandemic part. And I'm saying to myself, like, who cares? It's just the idea that it's still a pandemic where like 8 million people have dead. People are still in their houses in lockdown. Only certain people are outside and doing things. And you got people who are trying to just survive. It's interesting to see that, but it's really a love story, because KJ Apa's character is doing everything possible to make sure that his girlfriend doesn't get taken away to this, the camp where they try to quarantine people, even though she doesn't have it. Everything you could do just to save her. And like Craig Robinson's his boss. Demi Moore and Bradley Whitford are married in the movie, and there was someone else in the movie who's like a YouTuber who sings, and there's a guy who played, Richard Jewell. He's in the movie. So overall, when a movie is barely, an hour and 20 minutes, and it's somewhat apocalyptic movie, during the pandemic, but a love story with a good cast, I enjoyed it. A little bit too much to handle in the real world because we're still in this pandemic. But yeah. Then I watched the movie Detectives, where basically a team of reality ghost hunters are about to like lose their show, and so they get sent to Mexico to go film somewhere because if they don't have like ghosts or anything, they're gonna get fired. And I'm watching this movie going, wait, the lead guy, the British guy, I know him, Chris Greer. He's, you know, he's a guy who I've seen before. He's the music teacher on This Is Us, who works with Kate, and he's also the love interest of Maggie from Britain. So he's Jamie. And I'm like, wow, I've single-handedly seen him in 2 shows at the same time, and then he's in this movie, and then you look at his IMDb page, a lot of things. Then there's another guy that kind of looks like it, and then there's his love interest, another woman, and a Hispanic guy. And the whole movie is them actually dealing with paranormal activity and trying to survive without killing them and stuff. And basically, because they crap shoot everything, saying, oh, this thing's haunted, when it's really not. This movie is where, oh my god, things are actually haunted and they're trying to survive. And yeah, it wasn't bad. It's if you like horror films, but mostly like making fun of them, and it's comedy and it's more funny than horror. You know, dead detectives, you'll actually like this movie, especially if you know the main guy. Then I watched the movie The Martians, and it was basically another horror film where it's like these researchers are in the marshes in Australia, and they're trying to survive because some local person's like being a cannibal, trying to kill them and eat them, and it's like, oh my god, they gotta survive, and the whole movie is them seeing if they can survive or not, and you don't know if they actually survived or not, because, it could be hallucinations or whatnot, and it wasn't that long, so it's not like you're wasting a lot of time, but definitely there's a lot of suspense in this movie, in this horror movie, and trying to survive. So basically, the 2 movies that are somewhat horror, The Martians and Detective, because they were short and interesting enough, you can definitely watch them. Mona Clarity was interesting suspense, trying to save her, same thing with Songbird, Apocalyptic movie. So yeah, pretty much in Scooby-Doo, pretty much all the movies I watched this week, all 5, are movies that you can sit through because they're not that long and they're interesting enough that you should watch them. So thanks for listening to another edition of Movie Reviews Observation number 64. For On the Rant Entertainment Blog, I'm Raider. See you guys next time.